Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So today we're going to be working on my Ariens 24-inch deluxe snowblower. Alright, I've had this thing for a couple seasons now. I've got it here in the shop, and to be honest, it won't run. I can't get it to start, and what we're going to do is just start going through it. More than likely clean the carburetor, drain the gas, probably not in that order, and see if we can get this thing running before I really get hammered with a bunch of snow. I know a bunch of you have been following this since I bought this a few seasons ago, but yeah, give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Alright guys, like I said, this is my Ariens Deluxe 24 snowblower, okay? It is a good snowblower for the most part, alright? We've done a lot of heavy snow. I've done a sled track for the kids, which we'll probably do another one later this year. Keep an eye out for that video. I'll have videos using this popping up through this one, so you guys can see those last ones if you want to check them out. Now, last season, we got a good storm. Got this baby out, fired it up. We were cutting through, I don't remember, maybe 10 inches of snow. And the snowblower was like spitting and sputtering until it was under load. Once it was under load, it was running smooth, but when it was idling, it just would not run smooth. We were kind of in the heat of the winter, and I didn't have time to mess with it. So the season ended. We got nice weather, you know, the snow's gone. I fired it up and it ran fine. I didn't have any issues. At which time I put stabilizer in the gas and turned the gas off. Well, I ran it. Right, I stabilized the gas, I ran it for a few minutes, shut everything down, turned the gas off. It's been put away for the season. So here we are now today. Pulled it out, tried to fire it up a few days ago, and it just won't start. Now some of you say, oh, your gas is off. Well, believe me, I'm not a dummy. I had turned the gas on, the keys in, everything's on over here. You know, we got it choked like we're supposed to. You pump this guy 3 times. Right? Because that's what the instructions tell us to do. I know in another video I did it a bunch of times. Everybody is mad, but that's okay. Anyway, so there. We just did this. Everything should be good. Okay? I have it plugged into an outlet, so we can use the starter, and I don't have to hit the ripcord. And we're going to try to start it real quick, because I know some people will go, how do I even know it didn't run? You didn't even try to start it. Okie doke. Let's do it. Okay, I got nothing. Ugh, it won't even turn over. Yes, there's gas in it, okay, because we're gonna have to drain that out. So don't give me a hard time. Anyway, this is the plan. We got to get all these covers off. All right, I'm actually gonna just unplug it. First thing we need is I don't even know what size, because I didn't look. 10 mil. I'm gonna show you where all the bolts are, and then I'm just gonna take them out. So this is what I'm gonna do. We got a bolt here, right behind the choke. One here. We got one below it. 2 above, you know, where you prime it. 1 inside here. And you come around by the chute, and there's 2 right here. That removes the cover, and it might remove this piece, I'm not sure. Quick disclaimer. I'm not an Ariens mechanic, all right? I'm not even a small engines mechanic. I just work on my own stuff and try to get it going, and if it works, you guys get to see the video because it worked, and that means you can do it too. All right, guys, all 3 bolts are removed out of the exhaust shroud or cover, so I'm going to set that aside. The bolts holding that in are not very big, okay? They're small. Everything so far is 10 millimeter. Next thing we're going to do is move in, and I'm going to remove the few bolts I pointed holding this piece together. After that, we will we'll see if that comes off. If not, we'll move on and continue to remove parts. All right, guys, so we've got the cover off that was here. Some of this, you know, I just feel like I don't need to show every little thing. We're undoing some bolts. We got them there. To get to this point, we've removed 8 of those 10 millimeter bolts, okay? And I've got them set aside. So this shroud is loose. And the next thing we got to do is pop this off. This pops off just straight up. So grab everything. All right, try not to smack your hand like I did. It all comes apart. something I do want to recommend. If you're not somebody that remembers how these things go back together, remove one piece, take a picture, take a picture, take a picture, okay? Or a small video with your phone or something like that, just in case I'm not giving you enough details and, you know, you're not able to put it back together. So we've removed that. Let's see if this comes right off. I'm thinking it's going to, and voila, that's that. Cool beans. So let's see what we got in here. We got some wires and things plugged in and whatnot. There's some clips for your start-stop button in here. Some of this stuff I can't get you guys an exact view. Actually, you know what? The wires just come off the back of the switch. Probably gonna need a little flathead screwdriver to get them off. Kind of go in carefully, pry that up. We don't want to break anything. We don't have to want to replace anything if we don't have to. Get these wire connectors off, and there's another set of wires over here. We'll have to see if we can get them off as well. It's gonna take some fiddling around. Have some patience. All right, guys, so I got the wires off. Just so you guys know, these little wire clips might be tough to focus here. There's like a little button in there, okay? You kind of got to push that a little bit with the screwdriver inside the little holes that they slide over. Once you press that in just a little, that piece will slide right off. So right now, with our gas off, we've got the hose right here in front of me. This one coming down. This is to that primer bulb. We're gonna undo this clip, probably undo that. I don't know, we'll see. We'll undo this clip though and get this whole piece out of the way. Gas is gonna come out of that. Watch your eyes. Safety glasses are a good way to go. Grab some needle nose pliers, squeeze that together, and undo it. In doing so, we should, well, we're gonna have to get this thing squeezed together and up out of the way. Try not to destroy it. You know, we're not looking to replace a bunch of parts. Even little parts. We don't have to replace any parts. That's plus. So pull that off. You might get some gas, you might not. No gas in this case, good for me. Alright guys, so pulling that off, getting our cover off, we get over here. There's actually, well, first there's this plastic piece that comes down. These are 8mm little like extra long nuts that are in here used as spacers. We'll have to take those off, or 10mm, I'm sorry. And there's one that sits over here right by the ripcord, and I didn't have one, so I had to use pliers, but I'm pretty sure this is an 8mm. It's not a 10. So I'm going to take these off, and what I'm hoping is this plastic piece will be able to finagle out of the way, because I really don't want to take the gas tank off and everything off on the other side. So yeah, we'll just see how that works. We're going to take these guys off. I already loosened them up. Let's see what we got going on. We're gonna have to undo the spark plug wire here where all this is held together. Let's see if we can pop that off. Boom. Let's see what else is holding everything together. We're gonna have to pop this clip off. Grab another pair of pliers. Clip right here. All right, get that out of there. Let's see, what else we got? What's holding us up? All right, our nuts. Let's see if we can do the old pop, shimmy, and slide. All right, that came out. A little bit of finagling, but there it is. Get that out of the way. So there's our carburetor right here. Okay, here's the gas line to the gas tank, which I'm gonna make sure the gas is off. All right, I bent this piece out of the way and I had to pop the on and off knob right off. Spot, I'm gonna put it on, turn the gas off. All right, leaving this connected. Put a can under here, and then we'll undo this bolt first, drain the carburetor, it'll drain this line. We'll get the line out of the way, and then we'll get into messing with the carb. Once the line's out of the way as well, we will end up draining the whole tank. There's no point in trying to run what gas is in here again. We want to make sure we have 100% fresh gas when we attempt to restart the carburetor. Now, look, there's all these little springs and things, right? Try not to mess that stuff up, okay? Let's try not to mess it up, because that'll just suck, I'm sure. But yeah, so now you want to come down here to the bottom of the carburetor. This hose is in the way. There is a bolt. There's two. There's one in the center and there's one out here on the edge. That's a lower point. Get yourself a can of some sort and grab, I believe it's a 10 millimeter. Maybe without the extension, that would be good. Grab your 10 mil. All right. Just give it a little deal, loosen it up. You'll be able to do the rest of that by hand. So, all right, that is the plan, right? Get this can under here, catch most of the gas. Try not to drop your bolt in there, then you gotta fish it out, which, yeah, that's always fun. Okay. Now that's the gas in the carburetor, and it should be the gas in the line, but it might not be all of it. Set that bolt aside, you don't want to lose it, okay? That uses a 10 millimeter or a Phillips head screwdriver. Now this has a little gasket on it. Let's see, there it is, little gasket, so don't lose any of that, okay? That little gasket's gonna help seal this up when you are, when you're done with everything. It's always a good idea to have a little rag on hand or something, but make sure that rag doesn't sit around, as that is a fire hazard. All right, guys? So, kind of just gonna move the carburetor around a little bit here. All right. And the next thing I'm gonna do is mess with this gas line while I've got the can here. We're gonna take a pair of pliers. I don't know if you guys can see. Can you guys see? The gas line right here, okay, comes down to the carburetor. It's got a clip on it. You guys want to get in there with the pliers, give that a squeeze, work that clip up the gas line. Grab that gas line. Might have to move that clip up more. Kind of twist it, work it, try to get it off. All right, a little bit of residual in the line, nothing crazy. Just kind of going to shake that line out just a little so I don't have a lot dripping. See it? Just wants to slide right off for us, which is a plus. In doing so, all right, hold on. Okay, so as we move the carb, you see that black piece moving? There's a little spring on there. We're going to have to detach, and that rod, okay? So carburetor, that black piece, little spring here, and the rod. Now this is where a nice pair of long needle nose works well. I like to grab the spring. Let's be careful. We don't want to try like to not kink it or anything. This is kind of a fragile spring. Let's see if we can't get that piece to pop out. Be careful with it, all right? So the next thing, I'm gonna pull the carb forward. All right, pop that out. And our carburetor is finally free. All right, guys, so we got our carb off sitting here. All right, I put that plug back in just so we could all be looking at the same thing. We're gonna take that 10 millimeter, take that plug out, and take the bolt on the bottom out. They're already loose. I'm gonna take these out, set them aside. Remember, don't lose the gasket on that one, okay? Don't lose any of your gaskets, wherever they may be. Now I got a little dish here because there's always a little bit of gas that's in there. This one also has a plug. Look at the end of that plug. It's all gunked up. You see that? Set that aside. Pull this off. Look inside there. Crud. Should all be nice and shiny. Bunch of crud down in there, so we'll have to clean that out. I'm gonna set that aside. Now, that kind of stuff can be up in here, not allowing parts and pieces to work properly. Okay, what I want to do though is I want to take this float off. Now that is super sketchy because there is a spring right here, a little tiny spring. See it? Okay, we take this pin out that goes side to side, and if we're not paying attention, that thing is going to fly across the shop and be gone forever. You'll never find it. I don't care how clean your shop is, it will be gone forever. So we've got to be extremely careful, and hopefully I just don't screw this up. Now I'm going to take the pin off that pivots on, holding this in place with my other hand here, okay? Now I'm going to try and cup the bottom here and hope that when I remove the float and keeping everything down in the bucket, it all just slides out into my hand, okay? And that seems to be what has happened. Now, the spring is a little different setup than I anticipated. Okay, so the spring is still compressed on the needle here. It's compressed right there. What that means is once this needle comes off of here, the spring's going to fly. So pinching the spring and the needle, I'm just going to remove it. Okay, spring's on there. If I release that spring with my thumb, there's potential for it to go cranking off there. All right, so there's no tension left. The spring is not. Okay, be careful playing with it because you don't want it gone. Set that all aside. There's your float. All right, looks pretty clean. I'll just wipe it down. I'm not going to spray that with carb cleaner because I do have some carb cleaner. Some people don't like using this stuff in carburetors. I'm sure somebody will tell us why, because it'll eat gaskets and all those sort of things, but it's what I use. It's what I've always used. Doesn't mean it's right, but it's just what I do. So, looking over this carburetor, and I mean, it's pretty gunky. Like, it's gunky. And, due to bad gas, I mean, even though we stabilized it, it just, obviously, it did not do well. Twisted that, just opening everything up here for me so I can look at it. And at this point, what I'm going to do is just take that carb cleaner over the bucket and just, I'm going to spray the crap out of everything. So right before you start spraying, a good tool to have is a brush, whether it's a little toothbrush, something with bristles, because as we spray, we're going to want to kind of get in here and clean things up and kind of scrape them out. So just a little tip there to help you out. Remember, watch your eyes and everything. As you're spraying carb cleaner, there's all kinds of holes and ports, corners and edges, and it'll just come back and blast you a good one. You don't want it in your eyes, nose, and mouth. So that's never very fun. So already, I'm looking at a bunch of junk in here that was not in here when I started. The one thing I hate about snowblowers is they just don't have any sort of air filter. I've never seen one with an air filter on it. And I mean, yeah, in this winter you'd think there's no reason for it, but there's all this gunk in here. I mean, obviously crap is getting in there. It's sucking the air in to feed your carburetor, to feed the motor and keep everything running. So why in the heck don't they set these things up to have air filters? That's my question. I think it's because they want it to suck that stuff in, and maybe that's a big reason why snowblowers don't last long, you know? Oh yeah, a bunch of filth come out of there. Lots of gunk. I put this in every spot I can put it in and blast her out the best that I can. And if it worked, you're watching the video. If it didn't work, well, you guys won't even be watching this far. So there is a little spot with some gunk around the rim. Just trying to loosen it up. It's tedious, guys. The whole process is tedious, and it's either you're somebody that wants to do this yourself or you're not, you know. You want to try it, you want to whatever for the first time, but keep in mind, you might have to take it to somebody if you lose parts and, well, you mess it up. So, yeah. All right. Giving this thing a look over. See, I'm not messing with anything. I'm not going in here. I'm not twisting anything out. I'm not changing any settings on the carburetor. I'm working on this the same way I would my chainsaws. When I do a carb clean for my chainsaws, I don't adjust jets. I don't mess around with none of that. Why? All those things were working fine before, and normally it's just an easy, quick clean like this where you just got to get rid of the gunk that's in the way, preventing good flow, preventing things from opening and closing the way they should, and all kinds of crap like that. So in here, this is all filthy. I can't remember what this part is called. Somebody will comment in the section below. the bowl. That's what it is, the bowl, bottom of the carburetor. Got to get all the junk out of this bowl because this is where the gas is sucked up to. Like, it goes into the carb, excess goes into the bowl. You prime it, it pressurizes, and this goes up to the... You guys get it, right? Kind of. I don't know. I don't even fully get it, but we're just making it happen. Look at that. That stuff's nasty. Old gas right there, guys. It sits, it turns cruddy, slimy, and gross. In this case, this brush isn't quite stiff enough. It's taking those things off nice and slow. Let me see here if I gotta... Normally, I have a old toothbrush I use. What you do not want to use, you don't want to use a brush that's metal, like steel. That's wire brush, all right? That's not the best idea, but a brass brush isn't too bad, especially for a part like this, right? This isn't horrible to get in here with brass. Other parts where things have to seat together, you definitely want to have something that's not as aggressive. You know, like your toothbrush or your wife's toothbrush or whatever. Whatever, you know, your friend's toothbrush. Toothbrush is a little better option though. It's not going to scratch things. It's about as good as I think it's going to get. Wipe it out for any residue gunk. Again, do not leave these rags laying around anywhere. They will and potentially can combust, causing a fire. So stay on top of that, guys, right? All right. We are going to set this aside and let these parts kind of dry. Actually, you know what? Give me just a second. Let's get back in here with this needle and spring setup. This stuff isn't good for you. Wear gloves, okay? It's the old saying, do as I say, not as I do. Wear gloves. Just want to look this over again. I want to make sure I got everything. Do want to spray that needle spot one more time. All right. I'm going to let this baby air dry. So what's that mean? That means we're going to let this sit and kind of just air dry all our parts here. Let's see, we're going to wipe this down, make sure this is clean. The float, I'm not spraying the float with carb cleaner, it really just doesn't need it. And I don't want the carb cleaner to work on drying and cracking it. So there's that. We're also going to wipe our gasket down again carefully, just to make sure it stays clean. Try to keep it on the cardboard, clean piece of cardboard or rags. It's nice to have a good clean work area. All right, all this stuff is here. All my parts are here and drying. Let's go drain the gas out of the tank. Well, this is going to be big enough. There's not a ton of gas in it, but we really do need to drain it. We need to drain the tank. So we're going to have to put our knob back on. This could have been done earlier, but you know, whatever. Turn the gas on. I'm going to open the tank up. Right. Got gas coming out. Alright guys, back to the bench. It's only been a couple minutes since we drained that. What I want to do is wipe down any spots where things meet up together. Make sure there's nothing in there. It's going to prevent a good seal. Okay. Taking that carburetor, tipping it up, the hose is facing up. This is where the bowl is going to go, and put it back down, because really we need to put the needle back in. Be careful with our spring and all that fun stuff. All right, so the needle's got a little, where are we? Little lip on it. It's got to go in here. Ba-boom. Okay, popped in. Be careful. This is where we screw things up, all right? Let's not screw things up. Okay, see how this looks? Where are you guys? See how this looks? Fish it over. Put it down. Trying to keep everything in focus here for you guys. It's kind of tough. Hold it in place and line up your holes. Hold that float, the spring will stay. Try to put that pin in, get it lined up. Okay, pin is in, get it so it's even on both sides. Float works. A little debris on there, get that off. Take our bowl. Right, this is the seal. I think the seal's the same all the way around. I'm gonna put the seal on here on the carburetor first, so holding the carburetor upside down, put the seal on. Take the bowl. Now there's some flat spots on the bowl, all right? Gotta remember which way that went on. My brain, which could be wrong, was keep this next to the hose. All right, this drain spout next to the hose, because the hose, I believe, was accessible, so we want this accessible. If we put it on the other way, this way, we may not be able to drain that, so put it on this way. Let's see, both these bolts are different. The bigger one holds the bowl on. You guys will notice, you'll look at the threads, right? You don't even need the ratchet. You got to put this thing on like thumb tight. Grab your ratchet, give it just a little bit of a, just a little boopity boop on. Cool beaners. Take this one. All right. You can use the ratchet or screwdriver in this one. We're not going hog crazy here. We're just tight as tight. Do not over tighten. All right, so our carb is back together. Now the fun part is, how do you put it back on? I don't know. Let's go put it back on the machine. Right? Look down on it. That black part should be to the motor. The hose we left on should be facing us. Bring it over to the 2 bolts sticking out there. There's a specific name for them, but you know, whatever. Most of us are just common folk. Go ahead and slide it all the way to the back. Okay, boom, that's on. I'm going to take that main gas line and I'm going to pop that down on the nipple over on that side. Take our needle nose pliers and the hose clamp on the gas line and slide that all the way down to the end where it was. Gas line's on, okay? Next thing we want to do is realize that the gas line might actually goof things up in trying to hook up the carb. So slide the carburetor forward. Look at your little spring, okay? The little spring that we released earlier. We're going to need to grab that with needle nose pliers and attach it back on the carburetor. Hopefully you guys can see. So this is our little spring. And there's a little hole right there. Now the thing that sucks is like the spring is just bending and it's, ugh. Hate this thing. Okay. Spring is on there. Try to straighten it out like it was if you can. Okay. Now the next part is that rod has to go back in place as well in the carb. So the difficulty is, all right, I goofed up here. Maybe. Not so sure if this is gonna work. It'll save you a headache. Just undo your gas line. All right, keep the gas line unhooked for now. Keep your gas line unhooked. All right, I kind of jumped the gun. So you can slide the carb all the way back easily. And, come on, dang it. Stretch that spring out a little. Hopefully it's still gonna work though. We'll find out, won't we? Boom. All right. Got those things all in there, right? That's what we gotta be careful of though. popping things forward and stretching our spring out. Hopefully this thing's gonna run well. Now slide the carb back. Everything is as it should be. Okay, put our gas line back on all the way down. Make sure it's on all the way. If you're using the stock line, they sure don't give you a whole lot to play with, but you know, do your best. Get that hose clamp all the way down to the very end. All right, let it go. And now that's all on. Now we got to move into the next step, which was what was it? Hands? Anybody? Suggestions? I don't stinking know. Yes, I do. We're gonna put this plastic piece we removed back on. And as we know, that was a little bit of finagling dangling around. So let's put this here on the carb. Kind of swing it around. All right, plastic piece are two studs or bolts for the carburetor here. And what we got to do is get them in the holes. Those holes. Okay, push everything back. All right, that goes over the gas line just a little to keep that back, and everything goes back. And this is where that 8mm bolt goes in right here. Okay, so you gotta make sure everything's kind of lined up. Make sure it all is fitting well. Grab your 8mm bolt, put that back in over here in this corner, right here. All right, guys, bolts in. Let's take this piece and fold it back. All right, we moved it out of the way to do the work. This might be a little tricky, but we gotta try to get it back in place. All right, around the gas shutoff and around the tank back over here. Now, it's gonna be weird because you just bent it, but once you start bolting things together and you'll have to mess around with it, it'll all work out. This is going to hold everything tight. I would try to leave links to all the tools I'm using. So if you don't have just some simple basic tools, but you want to give this thing a go, you can. This goes to the spark plug, right? Spark plug wire. We undid a clip earlier that clipped it to this plastic piece. If you don't do that and put the plug back in, back into the spot here, it's going to wrap around that metal shroud, and then it's going to rub, and you're going to cut through that wire over time, and it doesn't reach right. So pop that back in. So this piece is going to pop right back on like that. Okay, but we got to hook everything back up first that we undid earlier. So I want to make sure we don't break the tabs on these wires. Okay, if you were good, you labeled these and paid attention. I did not, so I'm just randomly putting whatever one, wherever. Honestly, there's like what I'm calling the two short wires. I'm putting those down on the key switch, and I'm putting the two longer wires up on the top. Now, there are 4 spots on this top plug. In my case, when the plug is facing down, like right now it's facing down, the switch, they were on the outside tabs, and so I'm going to put them back on the outside tabs. Now again, remember to have this thing unplugged, just in case there's some juice going in here. You're wearing a ring and all that, make sure there's no power whatsoever, so you don't have to worry about any of that. I mean, you shouldn't get shocked, but there's no battery on this thing. That's why we're making sure it's not plugged into the wall still. All right, so this little hose on the carburetor, right, the one that we left facing us, needs to go on the nipple down in here. That's on the back side of our all right, once all these things are on, lift the piece up over that choke rod that's sticking up, move things, realize that was wrong, move things back. All right, finagle it. What you really want to do is line up your holes for the piece you had bent over here on the far side. I know it's tough, you guys can't see everything, but once you're in it, it'll make way more sense. So I'm going to be in your way. I'm going to line up those holes and hold this, which is holding everything together. Grab a bolt, line them up, and just twist it in so that we can have pieces stop popping apart on me, okay? Now while that one is in on that side, I'm gonna come over here and put one in right above the primer bulb. That's what I was looking for earlier, primer bulb. All right, so once that's in, everything is solid, okay? Let's go through in any spot on this piece that we can that helps hold it in place, that has integrity. Just finger tight for now. We gotta put the choke on. You do have to line this up inside just a little. There's like these little tabs in there, so do your best to try and line that up. All right, here's our choke lever. Choke piece, right? Everything should be moving freely. All that still works wonderfully, okay? Let's take the knob for the gas, for the fuel. Let's pop that on the other side. All right, guys, so the cover's on, all set. Everything looks good over here. Put some gas in the tank. We're gonna turn the gas on because it's been off. Make sure everything is to run. Put our key in. Okay, now this should be on, the rabbit, and set to start. Now it says prime 3 times. I'm gonna just give it a minute because I know the gas is now running down the line nice and slow. I don't usually like to sit in front of the exhaust when I start in case we get a backfire flame, so I'll probably stand up and move when we hit the ignition. So let's 1, 2, 3. Let's hit the starter and see what happens. All right, guys, so she runs, she fires up, she does more than she did. When I went ahead and tried to put this fully on run, as you guys saw, it wants to stall. If I turn this down from anything but fast, it wants to stall. I'm not messing with it anymore. We're gonna wait for the first big snowfall and use it and hope everything is good. Hey, real mechanic guys out there, what's the problem? It's clean. Not seeing anything wrong with it. Is that a jet issue? You guys tell me. I'm sure we'll get somebody to comment with a little more knowledge and let us know. But as far as cleaning it and getting it running, boom, there you go. I really hope this helps you guys out. And if it does, be sure to leave me a comment, guys. Give me a thumbs up. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit that bell, hit all, turn your notifications on so you guys don't miss future videos, and you won't miss the video this year using this baby in some snow. Hopefully we get some, because it's getting muddy out here. But yeah, we'll be snow blowing with it, and then we'll probably make a sled track for the kids, and that's like an all-day thing, running this baby non-stop. So hopefully it'll keep up and we'll be able to do that this year. But I want to thank all of you guys for watching. Keep an eye out, check out one of these next videos, and have an awesome day. I'll see you guys later. Bye.